Hi guys, and welcome back to the final lesson in linear equations. In today's lesson we're going to look at how to calculate and find the midpoint of a line segment and also how to find the length of a line segment. So what is the midpoint? Well, the midpoint of a line segment that joins 2 points is halfway between the 2 points. So what we're saying is a midpoint is halfway between the 2 points on a line that joins those points. So if we look over here, we have our 2 points here and our line that joins them. And so our midpoint is this halfway point between the two. To find the midpoint, you calculate the average of the x coordinates and the average of the y coordinates. And by doing that, what we're finding is halfway between these two coordinates, so here and the x2 coordinates over here. We're finding halfway there. And the other coordinate we're finding is halfway along the y-axis, which is this point here, and that's what gives us our coordinate here. For the line segment x1, y1, so this one here, x1, y1, and x2, y2, the coordinates of the midpoint are x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2, as we can see here. So this is calculating the average of the x-intercepts, which is halfway between the two x-intercepts, and this is calculating the midpoint or the average between the two y-intercepts or the y-coordinates there. So let's do an example. So find the coordinates of the midpoint of a line segment joining -1, 4, and 7, 9. So here is our little coordinate example. So first thing we need to do is identify the x1, y1, and x2, y2. So I've simply put my x1, y1, x2, y2 there. Our x1 will be our -1, so -1 plus 7 over 2, and 4 plus 9 over 2. So what we get is -1 plus 7 over 2, 4 plus 9 over 2, which gives us 6 over 2 and 13 over 2. And obviously we leave this in simplest form and not as a fraction, which means we need to leave it as a decimal if need be. So 6 divided by 2 gives us 3, and 13 divided by 2 gives us 6.5. So find the coordinates of the midpoint of the line segment joining points A and B. So I want you to pause it. The first thing you're going to do when you pause it is work out the coordinates of A and B, and then decide which set of coordinates are your first set and which ones are your second set. So pause it, see if you can solve this, and then come back. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, I'll write my coordinates here so I remember how to write it. A, so this one here, equals 3, 2. B equals 7, 4. And I made this one, the top one, my x1, y1, and my bottom one, my x2, y2. Now, it doesn't matter which way you do it, it'll always work out the same value. So let's substitute them in. So the first is 3 plus 7, and the second is 2 plus 4. So 3 plus 7 over 2, and 2 plus 4 over 2. That gives us 10 over 2, and 6 over 2. So we're finding the average still. So the average, the coordinates of this midpoint here are 5 and 3. And if we go over here, we can see that it is 5 and 3 here. So we can easily see that. Now, sometimes you can just look, but often you need to calculate it, especially in tests and stuff, because I want you to show me you know how to do it. Not that you can just find the midpoint, but I want you to show me that you know how to do it using this technique and this strategy. Let's just quickly do some quick Pythagoras revision before we continue. So to find the length of C, remember that we go C equals the square root of A squared plus B squared. Now, if I was to change A and B out and put these coordinates here, or these lengths here, and say that this length is x2 minus 1, 2, x2 minus x1, and this length here is y2 minus y1, this is still the A length, and this is still the B length. So what we're going to do is we're going to substitute this in for A, and this one in for B. So what we'll end up with is x2 plus x1, which is this in here for A, squared, plus y2 plus y1 squared. Now you just need to remember this formula for calculating the length of a line segment. So what do we mean by a length of a line segment? Well, the length of a line segment is this length here, between the 2 points. That's what we're trying to find out. So to do that, we've got our x2 minus x1 here, and our y2 minus y1. So the length of a line segment is the distance between 2 points. So, I keep yawning, sorry guys. So x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. That's the formula you need to remember for length of line segments. Let's do an example. So find the length of the line segment joining -1, 4 and 7, 9. Correct to 1 decimal place. So here's our formula again. We've got our x1, y1 and x2, y2. So we substitute those in. We say 7 minus -1. So you need to remember, because this is always a minus, that this negative is on the 1. So we need to include that here. And we're going to square that, plus 9 minus 4. So now we know that 2 negatives are going to make a positive, so we're actually going to add these because we're saying negative times a negative, so this becomes +1. So we go 7 plus 1 equals 8 squared plus 5 squared, because 9 take away 4 is 5, which gives us 64 plus 75 under our square root, which is the square root of 89. So our answer is approximately 9.4. So our length of our line segment is approximately 9.4. Now they don't have a unit, it's just 9.4. So hopefully you understand that, guys. You're going to work through some questions later. But again, if you have any questions, please do make sure you ask. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next topic. Thanks, guys.